guys, thank you so much for joining me for today's video. So instead of telling you guys some grand story about my writing experience or suggesting any writing resources I found, today I have a question for the AuthorTube community. On January 24th, I finished the second draft of my murder mystery work in progress.
Victory!
I skipped going to the gym and worked from 9:30 in the morning to about 5 o'clock at night just to get this book finished. Don't worry, I took potty and lunch breaks. But now that the euphoria of my accomplishment has worn off, there's something I need to consider. As most of you know, I have published one book in my life that was Starforged Orion back in 2018, but I've also published a play. But those were both self-published. I have never queried a book in my life. Nor have I ever taken part in #PitMad on Twitter. I didn't have a finished but unpublished book during the days that I could do that, so that's why I never did it. Let me be clear, I still don't feel like I'm ready for PitMad because my book isn't perfect. Things still need to be added and taken out and edited, etc., etc. I need to go through the critique partner phase and get that done, and then I need to do a beta phase, and then I need to do another beta phase, and then another until I feel that it's perfect. But when I feel that I get to a point where my book is good enough to query or to put on pitch wars on Twitter, should I do it? I know from following other writers on Twitter that querying can be a really disappointing experience with a lot of rejection letters. To be honest with you, I'm not all that scared of being told no by a bunch of agents because I always have the self-publishing route, which is what I was going to do anyways. I do feel that I should at least try to query and try to take part in pitch wars just so that I could say that I had the experience. Whether I get traditionally published or not is kind of irrelevant to me so long as I know what I can tell people if they ask me, is pitch wars and querying worth it? Now, I know how PitMad works, and that's pretty easy. If you don't know what PitMad is, it's basically a book pitching party that happens on Twitter about 4 times a year, basically on the first Thursday of the month. Authors tweet pitches of their finished but unpublished books on Twitter so that publishers and editors can find them. If a publisher and editor finds a book pitch that they will like the tweet, and that's how they can get in contact with the writer. According to what I found, so long as you are unagented, you can participate, and all genres are welcome. If you're interested in taking part in PitMad in 2020, the dates are already set. PitMad will be happening on March 5th, June 4th, September 3rd, and December 3rd. During each of those days, the party will last from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I would get that down in your calendar now so that you can remember. Also, if you're not a publisher or an editor, don't support your fellow writers by liking their tweeted pitches. That's only for the editors and the publishers. You can help your fellow writers by retweeting their pitches without the PitMad hashtag. It's less confusing that way. And obviously, don't be dicks to one another. Querying, I'm not so knowledgeable about. I know that you send out letters to literary agents that you're interested in representing your book to publishers. I actually didn't know how to find agents who represent my genre, but luckily with Agent Query and Query Tracker, that's a little easier. Once a writer finds an agent that they feel would represent their book well, they contact them with a personal letter. If the agent says, "No, I'm not interested," try again. If the agent says that they're interested in representing the writer's book, then the writer has to decide if that's the agent they want to go with, assuming they get multiple yeses. You basically have to choose the best agent for you. Once a writer finds an agent that they feel will represent their book well, that agent proceeds to try to sell the book to other publishers. The understanding being that if a publisher buys an author's book, the agent will get a cut of what the author makes. The number I found was roughly 15%. Obviously, once a publisher buys a book from an author, they publish it traditionally. Now, I understand what the benefits are to being traditionally published. There's a limited financial responsibility on the writer. The writer is guaranteed to get paid so long as they don't go with a scammer publisher, and the writer isn't trying to do everything by themselves. But there's also stuff about being traditionally published that I'm not really interested in. The writer has a lack of creative control once a book is sold to a publisher, and In the beginning, that guaranteed paycheck that the writer gets may be minimal at best. I also kind of like doing everything by myself because I have a vision and I feel like other people don't have my same vision. Plus, if a publishing house publishes my book, there's no guarantee I actually have ownership of my manuscript. And once they buy the book, they can change whatever they want. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Even moreover, there's a chance that the publisher won't actually have my best interests at heart and our goals won't align, so they could try to screw me over. For the record, pretty much all of the pros and cons I mentioned in this video were in Jenna Moressi's video about the pros and cons of traditional publishing, which I will link in the description below. So yeah, on the one hand I would make a little bit more money and I wouldn't have to do everything by myself if I got traditionally published, but I wouldn't have as much creative control and I could get screwed over pretty badly. Like I said, I still feel like I should try to query and try to do PitMad, even if I decide that ultimately traditional publishing isn't for me. The experience alone will be pretty valuable in and of itself. But I want to hear from other people in the AuthorTube community about their opinion on querying and PitMad. I want to hear everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if anybody has a list of publishers to avoid, that would be great too. That's all I have for you today. If you liked this video, don't forget to bitch slap that like button, and while you're at it, why don't you bitch slap that subscribe button? My book, Starforged Orion, is still available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle, and is also available on Barnes & Noble's website. My play, How Are You, is also available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. If you're interested in supporting me in other ways, go ahead and check out my Patreon. I'm just saying you can become a beta reader if you wanted to. And don't forget to check out my other social media sites if you want more content. Toodles!